Today on the What is YouTube Doing? Says podcast, I'll be discussing if the extension of the Shorts time limit up to 3 minutes really matters. I'll also be following up on the use of shotgun microphones for indoor recordings and other stuff too, so go ahead and stick around. Let's start with the news that YouTube is expanding the Shorts time limit up to 3 minutes long. This is going to be a feature that starts rolling out across the platform on the 15th of October, 2024, and at that time, Shorts will now have a time limit of up to 3 minutes. Prior to the 15th of October, if you wanted to upload a short, it had a time limit of 60 seconds, and it had to have the vertical aspect ratio, or if I'm not mistaken, a square aspect ratio. Well, after the 15th of October, that time limit is now 3 minutes, and if you want your video over 60 seconds to be qualified and labeled and categorized as a short and show up in the Shorts feed, it needs to have that vertical aspect ratio or a square aspect ratio. If you upload a video that is over 60 seconds and it is any kind of horizontal aspect ratio, it's just going to be published as a regular video on YouTube. So congratulations, you were just like every YouTuber since 2005. That's what you will be. There do seem to be quite a few restrictions regarding music in shorts that are over 60 seconds. So if you use music in your shorts content, go ahead and check the Creator Insider video. I'll link that in the episode notes and description because there seem to be a lot of them. I'm not going to dive into all of that, but they cover all the minutia, all the information you need if you use music in your shorts. I think to summarize it, just use royalty-free music or the YouTube music library, YouTube audio library. They're royalty-free stuff. Let's explore why I think they are doing this, though. Why is YouTube extending shorts from 60 seconds to 3 minutes? Simply put, I think the people who have been making shorts content for YouTube have been asking for the ability to upload longer videos to get on the shorts feed. I want to explore the idea of this a little bit more, or the idea of shorts, because going back prior to shorts launching, if somebody wanted to upload a 30-second video, a 2-minute video, a 5-minute video, a 30-minute video, a 12-hour video, no matter what, you knew what to do. You log into YouTube and you upload it. You're done. There are no different feeds. There are no different video formats on the platform. There are just videos on YouTube. So you simply made content, you made videos as long as they needed to be, and then you published them. That was a much simpler and much more beautiful time. But since the launch of Shorts on YouTube, it seems like YouTube has really prioritized that type of content, that type of short-form video really, really heavily. Hey, if you want to grow on YouTube, you should make shorts. I have seen notifications in the Creator Studio where it says, "We've noticed people who make shorts content are growing faster than you." Thanks, YouTube. Thank you for the heads up. Maybe I should find a way to make shorts. But I have found it very difficult to do so effectively. I don't have shorts brain, and I find it hard to condense a 15-minute microphone review into a 60-second video. So I have found it very difficult to do. But over the last 4 years since the launch of Shorts, it really has seemed like if you have any desire to grow or succeed on the platform, regardless of whether you have any creative need or desire to make 60-second videos, there was this overhanging pressure to do so. Because you do get those notices. Hey, people who make shorts are doing better than you. They're better than you. I may be reading a bit more into it. Maybe there are other motivations behind it. But let's explore who this extension is for and who will benefit from it. If you make short-form content on other platforms that is over 60 seconds, this is just going to save you time. Because YouTube, if I am not mistaken, has the lowest time limit for short-form content. TikTok is up to 3 minutes, maybe 15 minutes even. Instagram is, I believe, up to 90 seconds. So now you don't need to make multiple edits of your short-form video to publish across all 3 platforms. You can make them 90 seconds or 1 minute 29 seconds and publish to all 3 platforms without the need to spend your time editing multiple versions of that video to meet the different time lengths. I also think this is going to be really beneficial for people like me. We are long-form video creators on YouTube. We don't have that shorts brain, and we find it nigh on impossible to condense down and edit a 15-minute test-filled microphone review video down to 60 seconds. So I believe this is going to it's hopefully going to give people like me access to this tool that YouTube seems to want us to focus on so heavily, that previously we may not have really had access to. Of course, technically we did have access to it. We could upload 59-second videos or shorter if we wanted and gain access to the Shorts feed. But if that isn't our primary focus on the platform, if we were never able to identify a way to make high-value content in that format, well, now we may be able to with that additional limit, because now we have an additional 2 minutes to create that value, to make those videos as informative as we can. Now I want to address if I will be using this, because if you subscribe to Podcastage, you may be dreading this, and perhaps you should, because I am going to try this out. I have tried to edit down my microphone reviews to 60 seconds. How can I get a 60-second video out of this to publish to the Shorts feed, to try to get access to that growth opportunity that YouTube just dangles over your head? I have been unable to do it. The closest I've been able to get is to edit it down into 2 or 3 90-second clips. I can edit down all of the microphone tests that I do, chopping out a lot of stuff, down to 90 seconds, 1 minute, 29 seconds, maybe a little bit more. For the microphone comparison section, I can edit that down to about 1 minute, 29 seconds as well. I have to cut out a lot of talking, so the samples are short. I don't have palette cleansers in between each microphone, but I can get it down to 90 seconds on the lowest. Anything less than 90 seconds, and I am starting to leave out tests that I think are valuable. I am chopping off entire words just to try to get under that time limit. It makes for a terrible viewing experience. So when I had that 60-second time limit, I wasn't able to create valuable videos to go on the Shorts feed without creating dedicated videos for Shorts, which just adds a significant amount of production time for me, because I already spend 20-30 hours of video for my reviews. So I am kind of excited about this, because I think these short videos could be useful if somebody is looking for information about microphones and audio, but they look at one of my videos and say, 15 minutes talking about a single microphone? That's daunting. That must be technical. And I think that's why some of my earlier videos, my earlier reviews had done better, because they were so much shorter. They didn't have as many tests. So by getting under that, I guess, intimidating 15-minute time on my reviews, maybe it will reach new people. So I am going to give this a shot. I will likely try publishing 2 shorts a week. I know. I am expecting to get a tremendous amount of hate from subscribers about flooding their subscription feeds. Heck, I got hate for saying, if you enjoy this video where I spent $1,000 on a microphone, consider liking and subscribing. I got hate comment for that. How dare you do that? If I want it, I spent $1,000 on this microphone to make this dang video. Shut up. Shut your mouth. I don't care if you're mad about me spending 15 seconds asking for a like and subscribe. I spent $1,000. You can sit there for 15. Oh, that came out of nowhere. I'm sorry. I think that YouTube is a little bit confused now. I know that they are giving YouTube Shorts creators what they are asking for. My question is, are the YouTube Shorts viewers asking for longer form shorts? I know that's very confusing. Do the people who watch shorts want longer videos in that feed? Or is YouTube just trying to appease the people who upload videos to the shorts feed? I simply don't know what's going on with YouTube. I don't know what they're doing. I think having multiple forms of video on the platform is confusing for both viewers and content creators, especially once you start seeing you need to make this other form of video if you want to grow and succeed. But since they're expanding the time limit of shorts to now be just regular videos, are they going to start focusing more heavily on long-form videos? That's a question, but then another question pops up. Has YouTube ever really stopped focusing on and prioritizing long-form videos? Or has the audience for long-form videos just shrunk? Have people's attention span just gotten smaller and smaller so they do not want long-form content? They do not want to have to think, what type of video do I want to watch? All they want is that quick hit of dopamine as the feed just gives them brain rot. Is that what people really want? So I don't know what is really going on at YouTube. Who is driving it? Where is it going? Are long-form videos or short-form videos the future? Where is the monetary side of things going? And that raises another question for me. It seems like monetization on shorts is much lower than on the standard long-form videos on YouTube. So why would YouTube be prioritizing short-form videos so heavily if they're not making as much money? If they have to pay all these additional licensing fees so people could use songs in their shorts? Is it because that's the only place the audience is? I know I'm just posing a lot of questions, but shorts they have always kind of confused me. Because I have never been drawn to TikTok or Instagram, the Instagram shorts thing, whatever that is. Never really been drawn to any of that. I want informative, full-fledged videos as opposed to quick hits of dopamine in a feed that just feeds me whatever. Just here's a stream of endless content. You'll just waste hours scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Doesn't appeal to me. Let me know your thoughts on all those questions. I know I left you with more questions than I provided answers, but that's where we are. I will link 2 videos in the description and episode notes. One is the Creator Insider announcement video. Another is a video from vidIQ, which is a YouTube analytics thing. They covered it, so I will go ahead and link that down below. Now let's jump to what I've been testing. I am on the Neumann. Hello, Neumann U87AI because it was on the stand. I'm a bit lazy, and I made sure to set my gain properly this week. I have been a bit off my mark there. I had my gain set at 33 dB the other day when I was recording, and that was a bit too hot. So now I'm down to 28 dB. With my speaking, that should give me ample headroom. And now I want to dive into the topic of using a shotgun microphone versus using a small diaphragm condenser microphone indoors. This is a follow-up to last week's episode 403 of this podcast. I did a bunch of tests, but I did them in my decently treated studio. I got some comments. I will go ahead and read you 2 of them. And what they say is, you should do the same test in an untreated acoustic environment. The differences are likely to be significantly more noticeable. And then SoundSpeed says, totally right. Environments are unpredictable and shotguns aren't forgiving in those environments. So let's jump to a recording I made earlier today in the white void known as my completely untreated kitchen. Actually, before we do that, I need to include a trigger warning. In this video, I do some really stupid tests. I use the microphones in ways that nobody ever will. I was just putting them in a worst-case scenario to try to coax out these flaws with the shotgun microphone, which I was expecting to hear based on what I have been told about them. So there's your trigger warning. Your blood pressure may rise, it may boil, and you may hate me after this. Let's go back to those tests now. Welcome to my white void, aka my kitchen, which is completely untreated. It sounds abysmal, but this is what you asked for. Currently, my air conditioning is running, so we have a lot of background noise, and I have 3 microphones set up. I have a shotgun microphone, the MKH416, and 2 small diaphragm condensers, the Neumann KM184, which is cardioid, and the Neumann, hello Neumann, KM185, which is a hypercardioid SDC. The microphones are about 10 inches from my mouth or the sound source. They are being overboomed and angled downwards, and I want to hear if there is any kind of difference in the amount of background noise as well as the amount of reverb that is picked up by any of these microphones. Here's a quick sample speaking staccato. Here's a quick sample speaking staccato. Here's a quick sample speaking staccato on each microphone so we can hear how much reverb each of them picks up on each microphone so we can hear how much reverb each of them picks up on each microphone so we can hear how much reverb each of them picks up. Now I've more than doubled the distance to the microphones. I'm about 22 inches or around 56 centimeters. I'll play each of the microphones back to back so you can hear how they sound in this environment at this distance. Now I've more than doubled the distance to the microphones. I'm about 22 inches or around 56 centimeters. I'll play each of the microphones back to back so you can hear how they sound in this environment at this distance. Now I've more than doubled the distance to the microphones. I'm about 22 inches or around 56 centimeters. I'll play each of the microphones back to back so you can hear how they sound in this environment at this distance. What if I was talking into the side of the microphones? Do we have any kind of weird sounds or artifacting on any of them, or do they sound okay? What if I was talking into the side of the microphones? Do we have any kind of weird sounds or artifacting on any of them, or do they sound okay? What if I was talking into the side of the microphones? Do we have any kind of weird sounds or artifacting on any of them, or do they sound okay? What about from the other side of the microphones? Again, I will give you 3 samples of the exact same recording on each mic. What about from the other side of the microphones? Again, I will give you 3 samples of the exact same recording on each mic. What about from the other side of the microphones? Again, I will give you 3 samples of the exact same recording on each mic. Now the AC turned off, but now what if I'm 6 feet behind the microphones? If I'm talking from here, do any of the microphones exhibit any kind of artifacting, or do any of them reject more noise? Now the AC turned off, but now what if I'm 6 feet behind the microphones? If I'm talking from here, do any of the microphones exhibit any kind of artifacting, or do any of them reject more noise? Now the AC turned off, but now what if I'm 6 feet behind the microphones? If I'm talking from here, do any of the microphones exhibit any kind of artifacting, or do any of them reject more noise? All right, I think that's all the testing I'm going to do on these microphones. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that was insightful. Now let's jump back to the studio so I can share my thoughts. Dang, it feels good to be a gangster as well as be back in the studio with some decent treatment. Before I share my opinions, let me know in the comments down below what you heard. Is there one of the microphones that you preferred? Do you think one really suffered from being in such a terrible environment? Go ahead, take your time, pause the video if you must, but I am going to share my thoughts right now. In an environment like that is completely untreated with that amount of reverb and background noise, every single microphone sounded abysmal. Shotgun microphone, cardioid, and hypercardioid. Every single one of them was awful. If anybody came to me and said, hey, here's how my room sounds. What microphone should I get to fix it and get a good sound? My advice would be, get some treatment. No microphone is going to fix that. So, that's the first thing I have to say. My advice would be, get some sound blankets. Build some baffles, do something to mitigate the amount of reflections. I understand you may not own the space you're in, so you can't do any kind of permanent modifications, but you can buy some moving blankets for pretty affordable, throw some on the ground, get some tea stands or something, throw some moving blankets over that behind the microphone to try to reduce a bit more of the reflections. Because regardless of the microphone, if that's the space you're in, it's going to sound bad. Now, as far as ranking which microphone was best in that environment, I thought the shotgun microphone did a better job than the cardioid SDC, and then between the shotgun and the hypercardioid SDC, I think it was kind of a toss-up between them. In certain instances, when I wasn't moving around, I thought the shotgun did better. In other instances, I thought the hypercardioid did better. But when I backed up to 22 inches away in that god-awful environment, the shotgun microphone did the best. That's really not a shock to me. Something else that I want to point out from an earlier test that I did, because yes, I did refilm the test to include 2 SDCs at 6 p.m. I haven't eaten dinner yet, I haven't finished filming the podcast, and I haven't edited or done the thumbnail. But earlier today, I want to share that the off-axis coloration of the shotgun microphone in that environment as well was worse than the small diaphragm condenser. That's no surprise. That's to be expected. The shotgun microphones are incredibly directional on the front, but once you start going off axis, they sound bad. So if you do have reflections coming in from the sides, that will be colored nastily by the polar pattern of the shotgun. And here is that sample from earlier today. Now I'll play the exact same recording moving around the microphones to see if a dynamic and moving sound source causes issues on the shotgun microphone or the SDC, and if there's any kind of difference in how the microphones treat the environment. Now I'll play the exact same recording moving around the microphones to see if a dynamic and moving sound source causes issues on the shotgun microphone or the SDC, and if there's any kind of difference in how the microphones treat the environment. But I think it's important to remember why I even did these tests in the first place. The reason I did the test last week is in my series of videos where I was suggesting microphone types for online content creators, I said, if you're going to be using your microphone 12 inches away from your mouth, I would recommend a small diaphragm condenser or a shotgun microphone. And frankly, after my tests, I still hold by that. I think that advice is fine. Because if there is a content creator who is investing in a shotgun microphone or SDC and their room sounds anything like my kitchen, the first piece of advice I have, do something, do something, do anything to fix that, because no matter what you get, that's gonna sound terrible. I understand there are cases where a shotgun microphone may not be the right choice. If you're a proper boom operator, you're queuing all over the place, that makes perfect sense. But if you are a content creator where you make videos or record audio at home, the microphone is static and you have control over your environment, I think an SDC or, yes, even a shotgun microphone is more than fine. But that is based on my very limited testing. I got a few comments from people saying, hey, I use the NTG5, sounds great. That is a shorter shotgun microphone, as SoundSpeeds pointed out. So by recommending shotgun microphones, I don't think that my advice would necessarily misguide people or lead them to making a terrible decision that's going to yield maybe subpar audio. Now, I may still need to make some qualifiers, so I will do that. And when I publish the magnum opus, the 60-minute long video, I will add some notes. If you're in a completely untreated space, treat it. If you're queuing all over the place and the microphone is dynamic, not the recording type or the capsule type, but if you are moving it around a lot, maybe an SDC would be better, but for static content creation, I think it's still fine. And the last thing that I want to discuss about the tests that I did is why did I compare the microphones tip to tip as opposed to capsule? What I mean by that is the ends of the microphones were lined up when I was recording the tests versus having the capsules of the microphones lined up. Because if you didn't know this, the capsule for a shotgun microphone is not at the end of the interference tube. It is a couple inches back in the middle of the interference tube. So why did I not line up the capsules and instead I lined up the ends of the microphones? Doesn't that skew the results? Kind of, but not really. What I wanted to accomplish with my tests was demonstrating the real-world application of these microphones. What I mean is if you are distance miking and overhead booming with an SDC or a shotgun microphone, where are you going to place them? You're going to place them as close to the frame as you possibly can. That doesn't mean you're going to place the capsule as close to the edge of frame as you can, because that would mean the shotgun microphone would be 3 or 4 inches into your frame. You're going to have the tip of the microphone just barely out of frame. So technically, that does mean the capsule of an SDC is going to be a few inches closer to the sound source. But in the test, what you heard was the closest that either microphone would be in a real-world application. They were as close as they could get to my mouth, to the sound source, without them actually making it into the frame. So that is my justification for why I moved forward with comparing them tip to tip versus capsule to capsule. I hope that made sense. I did not pull any what you had to say. I did not pull any Ask Bandrew, although we did get one. I will answer that next week. If there is a question in there, I haven't had a chance to even listen to it. So we are just going to wrap up and jump to the value for value section because This is a V for V podcast. What that means is I do not put any of this behind a paywall. I do not have ads on this show. I just upload the episodes, and if you enjoy them, you get to choose what that value is. Is it $1? Is it $2? Is it sharing it with a friend? Because that offers tremendous value back to me as well. This is a long-form podcast where I cover typically 4 or 5 topics. That means it doesn't do well in the algorithm. So sharing it with somebody who may benefit from it or may enjoy it is really helpful. So consider doing that. Share it with a friend if you get anything out of this. The first super thanks we got this week is $5 from MechTechRW. He says, "This entire test sounds just like me when I'm testing equipment and not making videos, lol. I used to get a lot of room tone with the MKH416. Since I've tested, I've changed desktops and added a 5-degree tilt to the back of my new one. My other mics already sound better because of the changes. EQ can help out greatly for shaping room tone as well. Great video as always, Bandrew." MechTech, thank you very much for the $5 and thank you for sharing your experience with your shotgun microphones and microphones in general. The idea of angling surfaces around you to send the sound waves off in a different direction is great. I have not gone down that road yet. I have a flat desk. I guess I could throw some books or some phone books under the rear legs of the table and get a little bit of an angle. But then when I'm filming my overhead shots, I would have microphones rolling off the table all the time. And then I'm risking breaking them and all that stuff. So I may have to avoid that for the time being. But that is a good idea. Alter the angle of the surfaces around you. Go ahead and angle your monitor directly up. Now it should be sending audio waves up towards the ceiling as opposed to right down towards my butt. Why would that be down towards my butt? I don't know. Thank you very much, MechTech. I appreciate the support and you sharing your ideas. Next, we have 14 Canadian from Greg LG. He says, "Thanks for bringing your listeners joy." Greg, thank you very much for the 14 Canadian, and thank you for saying that I bring you so much fulfillment, accomplishment, and reward. Contentment, maybe. I'm bringing you content. So if you watch my content, does that bring you contentment? I'm just replacing joy with my words. Elation. I am happy to bring you elation and happiness and euphoria and all the other good feelings. Okay. Thank you very much, Greg. I appreciate you trying to troll me and almost succeeding. Next, we have $5 from Jim Purcell. He says, "Thanks." Jim, thank you very much for the $5 and thank you for the thanks. I really appreciate the support. It helps keep the bills paid, keep the lights on, keep the hosting up, keep the shows a-flowing. All of you are amazing, and I deeply appreciate it. Editing Bandrew here, I didn't see this in the back end of YouTube, so somehow it was lost, but we also received a €50 super thanks from TechMed Raina Richter. He says, "Danke. Raina, thank you so much for the continued support. Thank you so much for the €50. It really does mean the world to me. Your continued support baffles me, and you truly are the benefactor of the BSP. Without your support, this show would not be able to keep the bills paid. The hosting would be falling behind. The lights would be shut off. I will give you an example of what this show would look like without Raina. I mean, for some people, this would be a huge improvement because they don't have to look at my mug. All you see is just a glowy blue background. And what is that thing that's floating? Oh, that's my glasses. I thought there was an alien in the room with me. So with Raina's support, we can keep the lights on. So thank you very much, Raina. I truly do appreciate you. I'm glad I double-checked my comments from the actual video view page because your super thanks didn't show up in the YouTube backend for some reason. YouTube, what are you doing, man? Did I miss any others? I don't think so. If I did, let me know. I apologize. I blame YouTube, but I corrected it. Thank you so much, Raina, and thank you to everybody who supports this show. Really do appreciate you. If you enjoy this show being ad-free, it is thanks to these amazing people: MechTech RW, Greg LG, Jim Purcell, and... Can you hear this? I have a physical super thanks, aka somebody sent me money via letter. And they did this because this is one of the few people who has my address. I am going to read it to you now. It's from the September 16th, Monday, 2024, which will forever henceforth be known as the September 16th. Dear Bandrew, I wanted to write you to show my appreciation of your show, Bandrew Says Podcast. I have enjoyed your show for many, many years. You have entertained me, you have educated me, and you have shown me what true common sense should be. You are a podcast inspiration to me, and I can call you a hobby podcaster brother in arms. I was inspired to send you this token of my appreciation after viewing your BSP-401 episode titled FTC Banning Fake Reviews, How to Save Money on Your Podcast, Warm Audio WA47 at the 4253 mark. Keep up the great work, Bandrew. Sincerely, SP. And on this letter, he sent me the incredibly generous 25 cents taped right to the letter. Now, he may think that I'm not going to appreciate this, but I really do. It is incredibly kind of him to say such nice things. Also, take the time writing a letter and to send me 25 cents. That's not an insignificant amount of money. Well, I guess for some people maybe it is, but I'm thinking about it. If I have 1,000 listeners every single week, if they each sent in 25 cents, that would be $250 a week. So it's not insignificant. And it's the thought that really matters. And I think he's kind of trolling me a little bit because SP just loves kind of poking fun at people and having a good time. And whenever he occasionally, I just realized I held up the envelope and I may have to blur that out because it has multiple addresses on it, which I don't want you to have. But SP loves kind of poking fun at people. If you've listened to his show, Better Podcasting, his back and forth with Stephen Bandrew, the great white Canadian, is that sounded like it had some kind of very dark connotation. The Canadian from the jeez. And whenever SP mentions my episode titles, I feel so ashamed of myself. But I am trying to not prioritize, but ensure that somebody searching for the content that I discuss is able to find it on YouTube or through Google or anything. And if I don't mention what I'm discussing in the title, it's not likely to get discovered on YouTube. So the titles are insane. I understand that. I have gotten to the 100 character limit on YouTube before, but there you go. Thank you very much, SP. I appreciate it. And thank you very much, Jim, Greg, and MechTech RW. And I appreciate you for being here today. I am trying not to edit as much today because it is already 3:30 p.m. and I simply do not have the time to mess about with all the editing. I appreciate you coming by and spending any amount of time watching or listening to this show. I know you could do anything with your time. So the fact that you choose to spend 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes listening to this show really does mean the world to me. I try not to take that for granted. I try to make sure that what I am providing you is valuable. So I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you laughed a little bit. I know I don't have a weekly recommendation algorithm this week. Didn't have time. Not much downtime this week. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will be back. I will be talking at you, with you, about you. I love you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Whoa. Whoa. Boop.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.